All right, hey there. Well, we're figuring some things out, and I want to share with you. I'm using, by the way, Blender Kit Online Asset Library, so I can get some reference images in. So this is the Blender Kit right here, and you install it, and some cost and some are free. So I filter with the um, my filter is free first, and then I put a reference figure, and I saw all these reference figures. So I picked this make human reference figure. I could have made one myself, but there it is. So there, it did not take time to do that. And I brought it in. So that's a reference figure. And just to see how tall or small that reference figure is, what you saw me do is go to the clipping. You always need to go to the view up here. If this is not open, then you need to open it by hitting the N key and dragging, or just come over here and drag. But anyway, you go into the view and you change the clip. Otherwise, you're not going to see anything. And make this clip as big as humanly possible. Anyway, this reference figure, if I click on one, if I want to measure, I can go to my measure tool and select holding control key down. Oh, nothing to erase. Oh, that's the pencil. I'm not on the right thing. So hold the control key down, and then you can get it. So this guy is 33 meters tall. No, actually he's not. Look at what I did. I ended up measuring way out to there. So this is one of the big problems with the measure tool. Don't be fooled by it. So let me hit X to get rid of that. You got to measure from a discrete point to a discrete point, and the best way to do that is to take your cursor and put it where it looks like it is there. Actually, you can go and snap cursor, set the snap cursor to selected. So there we go. So having snapped the cursor to selected, now if I hit the measure tool and I hit control and try to put that box on some point here, so maybe there, and then I hit control, but I hit the Z axis as I draw. It's supposed to work. Did I do it? So hard to tell. Yeah, I did it. So he's a little bit taller than 1.6. So let me hit Z again. Oops, Control Z. I didn't do it again. So here we go. Let me go up to the top of his head. Top of his head. I'll get back down here to Control, click, and then Z, and then see it won't let you go anywhere but in Z. So that's what's nice about that. So there. I lost it again. So hit Z to get the constraint, and he is 1.7 meters tall, which is the right height for somebody. And then it lets us know that this part of the building, which is supposed to be 6 meters, if I do that again and Control Z here, and then bring it up, it's not 46 meters, so hit Z, make sure you hit Z, and then go up, and you'll see it's 6.8, which is about right for that part of the building. And then for this part of the building, Control, click Z, and it should be about 16 meters. So we know that our building is proportionally correct. There's a car that I brought in as well, and it's got these control points, and I never understand why we need to keep the control points in. So sometimes I will hit Alt P, clear, keep transform. We also want to grab every. Ooh, let me get back to the selection tool. Whoa, I'm just grabbing things that need to be locked. So, hey, by the way, lock stuff. Once you've got it in the right place, then come over to your item and lock the locations and the rotations and the scale. And you won't be unhappy about that. Same thing with this landscape. So landscape building. This is Corinthia University, so we need to lock those as well. And then they show up. As for the other buildings, I have them too, and you might as well lock each one of those so that you're not making mistakes, you know. But to do it for all of them is a bit of a pain. Maybe it won't let me carry these attributes over. I don't think if I go to Shift and select everything, it's not going to let me lock all those. So if you think you might move something, lock it. But I'm hiding these anyway. Putting the, see, that's that. There. You can grab all of them and hide them because I put them in a collection. And okay, so this car is, let's hit the period key to find it up there. It has a chassis, it has a whole bunch of stuff in it, and so if you selected it all for this purpose, you should really join it all together with Control J, but it doesn't always control together, so you usually have to do pieces at a time and then do Control J, and sometimes it doesn't work at all. So let's see, the backlight up to the bumper, can we hit Control J and join those? No, maybe not. Bumper and the chassis, will it let us join those? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So this part here, which is the handle maybe? No, it's not the handle. What is this? This is, I'm going to hit the period key. That is the cartoon, that's just a thing. It's an organizing empty. And supposedly you can drag it around with this. And it won't show up in render. So okay, whatever. Whoa, rotate on the Z-axis. So we have the car in here, but do be careful trying to move it by clicking on it because you'll end up removing the chassis. So you want to remove it by clicking on the handle. And then you can move the car and put it on the road if you like. So sometimes you gotta just here. Or maybe put it in the parking lot. No, I'll put it in front of the house. I put it underground too, didn't I? So I'll move it up in Z. Yep. Okay, so yay for that. All right. What I want to do now is get into modeling this building a little better. And to do that, I want to model this section here. And to model this section, I think the simplest way to do it is to select my building. For some reason today it's not selecting properly. So I may just have to grab it from here. And then I'm going to go into the edit mode and I'm going to grab the bottom surface. I really should turn everything else off. So let's goodbye car, goodbye mail body reference, goodbye satellite map. All right, we just got this floating in space, and I'm going to go to the edit mode, grab the flat surface part, and apparently this doesn't even have a bottom. So since it has no bottom, interesting, I thought it would have a bottom, it has no bottom. So the building has no bottom. So let's make a bottom. I'm going to grab this line, hold the shift key down, grab this line and this line and this line, and then I'm going to right click and I'm going to tell it to fill. It didn't fill. Oh, because I grabbed the wrong line. Stupid me. Right, this one, this one, this one, and this one. Ah, there we go. And that's the fill that I want. And since I have that now, if I were to grab this and move it up to about wherever the column was. So let's look over on the left side and say, well, it should really go up to here, but we're going to be using different, we're going to map this thing differently. In terms of the column, let's see if I can insert, let me insert add a cylinder, and let's move that cylinder over here. Let's shrink the cylinder, and then let's scale the cylinder in Z. and then move that cylinder there. And we really need to make sure that we are on ground level. Okay, so let's scale this in Z just a little more and then bring it down in Z to that line. So that's where the bottom of our model is. And let's move it over in, then let's Shift D and duplicate it and move it over in X. Oops, we need to grab that one and bring that to there. And then if we select it and Shift D and duplicate it, move it over to here, we have 3 columns. Although they're not matched up here. Part of the problem of working in 3D, now if you're working in 3D for the first time, you might want to use the split window function here, and then you can look at things from different perspectives by hitting Control, or over here you can, that flips things around, or you can do Control 1, or you can move around with 6 key. But what we have to do is come to this view and say to this column, you, sir, need to move in, you need to move in, not Z, GY, no, that is the right position in Y, you need to move in X, and you need to move in, not, no, you need to move in, because it looks like it's right until you go to this view. Maybe that's okay. If you go to the under view, which is I think Control 7, yeah, then we can move it there, move this one there, and move this one into there. And let's see if that gives us what we want. No, because it appears like this one is about here. All right, at least then we've got some columns there. And then we've got to drop down a piece of the building in here. And to do that, let's grab this surface here and let's shrink it back. So let's say G in X. No, that won't work. We gotta do extrude in X and bring it back this way. And then let's take this line and this line and this line and this line. So I got it. Let's try this again. Let's take this, oops. There's it. That line, this line, this line, and this line. And let's create a face. And then we want to drop this. Oh, there's no surface in here. So we're going to have to do the same thing. There's no surface in here. So we're going to have to take this and this. We have it. There we go. This and this and this and this. And create a face. And then drop this face to extrusion. There we go. Drop Is that the right face? So it's very rather hard to get our faces. So that appears to be the face, and then extrude it in Z. There we go. All right. So it's not looking so pretty yet. Let me drop this down a little lower. It's not looking so pretty yet, but we are getting somewhere with it. And by the way, this line here is messed up. It needs to be pulled back in. It's this line here. This line here needs to be pulled back in X till it's up. All right, so what we've got to do now is we've got to get the texture map to work better. So I'm going to save this, and one thing is we know that this here, if I open up UV editing and I find my building front, okay, zoom in here. Or there. No, you're not going to school today. All right, so this part here is going to be lifted up to here and here. Although I realize this is not the right map at all. That's not the one we were using, building front 2. We used the building front that had the flag. Oops. All right, so it's actually this one here. Okay, so that's what we're actually after. And then this part here, what we would do is we've got to unwrap it. We don't have an unwrap for it, unless this is the unwrap. I don't know about that. It's, that's a really weird, oh, there it is. It is unwrapped. Okay, so it's got a bunch of points in there that have to be figured out. Let's make it into a square, and then it's not assigned the right material. So this piece here, we'll select it, and we'll tell it that we want it to be on whichever one is the building front. Yes, the building front. We need to assign that. And I really should name these materials so we'll know what they are. So Corinthia building front. And now that we have the Corinthia building front piece, we want to see where it goes. So there's the flag. Tree is over here. It's obviously upside down. So let's grab it and rotate it. But let's see, grab it all. Shift and grab. Rotate it like that. And then let's move it here and here and here and here. And so do we really want to show those columns in the background since we've made columns in the foreground? Probably not. In which case, maybe the thing to do is to just get the window, but then we have to repeat it somehow, and that would involve breaking up the background here. So what you could do, let me try something else here. Let's be innovative for me, is we'll come out to here, and we will say that we're going to find points, and we're going to do a loop cut. No, loop cut won't work in this. We're not going to do a loop cut. We'll do a knife. Maybe go from here down to. Oh, wait a minute. No, let's do something else. Let's escape out of that. Let's do a knife cut from here down to here, and then hit enter. And then let's do a knife cut from here down to here, and then hit enter. And a knife cut from here down to here, and then hit enter. And then we have several different maps here, and we can say to it, all right, well, this map is going to be that. This one here, where the column is, we're simply going to shift over so we never. Let's see how we do this. I'm trying to get rid of the. I'm trying to do that. Yeah. No. So what I've tried to do is stretch the image so that I break it up and avoid the columns completely. So I've got this one on the side, and I'm avoiding the column, and then for this piece here, I'm avoiding the column, and then for this piece here, I've avoided the column as well. So there's some, painting work to be done in here to try to avoid replicating the column, but that way you have space in there. Now the columns also have stuff on them, and they shouldn't. So what you have to do is go to the select and grab this, and then unselect. Oops, such a pain. How do we unselect this? There is a moment where you're like, well, how do I do this best? We could do select, and we could do select linked. There we go, select linked. And since I have select linked there, I can create a new material and call this material, call it column, and just leave it white, because that's the base color that it should be. But I'd have to assign it. There you go. And then I do the same thing with this one. So let me grab, didn't need to do that. Let me grab this surface and then go select linked. And I get that, and then take the column material, assign that, and then do the same thing with this. Take that, select linked, and then assign column material. So now we're getting a bit closer. I mean, it's sure perfect, but at least we have that part of the building doing that. And let's fix these here, even though we don't have the right interior. Let's assign this to the Corinthia building sidewall for now. Reassign it later. And pick the sidewall up in here. Find it. We can't find it, so we're going to have to load it. And find our sidewall. Sidewall's in here somewhere. There it is. Side of the building. And then grab this, scale it up, and bring it to the. It's probably upside down. It's coming upside down. No, it's not even upside down. around. This has got to go there. This has got to go there. And from here, do the same thing. Flip this around. And of course, we have to assign it. Sideball, assign, and then decide how we're going to match this up. And see if it works. Then it is flipped, so we need to grab this, bring it over to here, grab this, and bring it over to there. Something like that. This is by no means perfect, nor is it intended to be. Just trying to give the idea of how these things are done. Later on, we'll go and change all the textures, make them proper if we can. So, over there, and there's the back of the building, the tree. So this again is flipped. Here, and this should go to the back of the building. Where the tree is. All right. So at least we have, some semblance of a building. Not perfect by any means, but something to play with. And I do want to then get the columns to match up on the other side of the building. So with this, actually this should not be this building. This should be this is front right. And this one here, I need, let's see if this is, no, that's not it. This material is the cafeteria front. That's not what we want. What we need here then is a new material. So we add a new material and we open that material to be the image texture of the building front. This one here. Imagine. And then assign that. And then bring it up here. We can find it. Building front 2. Building front. No, that's building front. We want building front 2 here. Okay. And then we can grab this. So let's go in here and grab this. Let's go in here and actually I'm going to assign this to, just want to have a material. I'll put this column material there. I don't want to see anything there. So I do know I'm looking at the bottom of the building. So let's just do that. Let's put this, assign this. Can we do two at the same time? Let's see. Yes, we can. So we'll do all three at the same time. Column, assign. All right. So what we're going to do now is grab this and take just the edge here. That one. We're going to extrude it in X and bring it back like we did the other one. We need to see what we did with the other one. How deep did we make it go? Oh, well, ain't that interesting. So the whole building face has to be brought forward. So let's G X this, looking down on it, so we see that it's about the same. Okay. And then this part here is going to be lifted GZ up to whatever we were at there. Let's see what that is. We'll do it to about where the underside of the flag is. And then this surface here has to be brought back by doing what am I doing here? I could do extrude in X. That's not helping. No, maybe come out of here. I made a mistake here. So this part here can be this part here actually. This, and this now have a surface that can be lifted, extruded up in Z. So we would extrude it in Z up like that, and then we can take it out. So if we select this, oops, not that, just this. No, it's not letting me do it. Interesting. I want to be able to get rid of you, and you, and you, and you. So if I delete these vertices with X, what did I do? Do I have anything here? If I delete this vertex, don't do that. If I delete this, what happens? So we X that, delete that face. Was it a face? No. So I'm not sure, I'm insecure about what I've done with this geometry. I never really completed that. So let me tab all the way out of that. Go back, 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 go back. So how did I do the last one? In the last one, we took this whole face. Oh, there is no face. Is that why there should be a face? What is that? That has a face. So we took that face and we just moved it up. So that's weird. All right, so let's got something going wrong here. I want to just to bring it up. If I do that, I've created some bizarro geometry. Or have I? Pause. I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to take this whole box and I think I'm going to just delete it. Although I ended up deleting more than I wanted to. Huh. Alright, I'm going to delete this. Goodbye. Goodbye. And I'll leave that box. And I'm going to take this box here. Grab this. And this. And these columns. And duplicate them and move them over. Because, you know, that seems like the simplest thing. And why reinvent the wheel? So I'm going to move this over in Y. And that looks better to me. And I can work on texturing and stuff later. But now, when we go back to the object mode, I have something that has those columns there. Now, there's something weird going on here. So that part got messed up, and that part is going to be the side of the building. So we would take the sidewall and assign it, and then look at it from here. I can't. There's the side of the building. Okay, and then move this. Take this and bring it down to the bottom. There's all sorts of columns down here, and I haven't modeled that yet. So eventually we're going to have to model those columns, and this is clearly backwards. And it's a very poor quality, poor resolution photograph, but that's the idea. Now we did lose a surface back here, so let's come in and take this, put a line, put a line here, grab this line, this line, this line, and this line, and the face in, and then face back, face back in until they meet. And then let's see what that looks like. A little better. So no perfection at all, but oh, and look at that. That side is now messed up. So let's do the same thing over here. Go back to edit mode. Come to this section here in face mode. Big boom, and take that face and map it onto the sidewall. So we assigned it to the sidewall. Where is it? It's here. So it's like all these weird points there. Looks like it is upside down. And it looks like this part's okay. So drag that, drag that. Again, it's a lot more work to do on this, but at least now what I want to be able to do is walk underneath these columns like that with my character. So that's my goal right now. So I'm going to save this and go into layout. Find layout, right? And this back, and I'm going to export this model. So export as FBX. I will make sure I'm only doing the mesh. I'll make sure that I'm doing limit to selected objects. And I'm going to make sure that the path mode is copy with the embed textures. And call this Corinthia with building with columns. Number one. So now let's put that in a Corinthia models thing. It's actually where it belongs. I get a lot of things that don't belong there. Export it to there. And now let's go to our close that up and instead open up all the other buildings and take them and export all of them. So shift A, okay, A, and then send them out as an FBX, which would be, this is Carinthia other buildings, one, okay. And then finally, let's go down and get our map, which is this here, and we want to select that and save it, no, export it as an FBX and call it Carinthia found map 1. And now I'm going to close Blender and I'm going to open Blender and open Unreal. And my Unreal is File Explorer. And you don't need to see all this. Alright, so the Unreal Epic Launcher, got a shortcut there on my SSD drive. And let's get this thing up. Go to my library. Open the Unreal editor for Fortnite. And I'll come back to you when it's loaded. Oh, one more thing I forgot is I probably also want to get the cabriolet car. That car. Nice to have this in the world. So to select it, I have to select everything, or is it already selected? Hard to know. So I don't know if this is going to break or not, but I might as well export it as an FBX. Call it cabriolet car, and just that. And I had to put that on. Export that. And I had a character. I had a male body reference. Period key to find male body reference. Where are male body reference? You are. There you are. Oh, his head looks cut off because of the stupid view. The big. So if I want to take this guy and bring him in, then I would make sure he's the only visible thing on the screen and the only thing selected. And when I have, what's this guy here? There's another guy? That's so bizarre. Did I get 2 guys for? That's the guy there. Who's this other guy? I got 2 guys in there. I only need 1. So I'll grab this one and try to do an export of that. And I'll call this a human. Alright, now I'll close this up. Here, so let's get started. I have a project called Code Test. Doing my work in here. Notice that I had brought everything down to 0, 0, 0, to the center of the world, not the way it came in from RenderGIS, so that it will land properly in this world. So there's my old model, and I don't need those old models anymore. So what if I were to delete and delete and delete leave what was originally there. There was this this thing here hit that for focus. They had some chairs in there and a camera, but that's the landscape that they did. So when I bring in Colleen assets, I really want to get rid of all these old assets. They're no longer of value to me. So goodbye. I'm going to bring everything in again. So delete, and delete everything else in here, because we're going to bring it all in from Blender one more time. So delete. All right, now we're going to import something else. So we're going to import from here, and we're going to import QGIS, and then Corinthian models. So we're going to bring in the Corinthian ground map, extra buildings, other buildings it's called, other buildings 1. We're going to bring in the make human. We're going to bring in the building of columns 1. And we're going to bring in the cabriolet. My car's a bit afraid. Everything comes in, right? Maybe the cabriolet or the make human causes this problem. We don't know yet. There's no red, so that's good to know. So let it do its thing. The first thing we'll do when it comes in is we'll turn off all of the collisions just to make sure everything came in right. Then later on we're going to turn on collisions and see if we can get on the top of buildings and stuff. And that's a more tricky thing. So here we go. There were issues with the import. Which import? Building 1, no polygons were found. Building 18, cannot fit static. Problem with building 5, and that was payload from Corinthia, other buildings. So those were our issues. Also, building 13. So building 13 and building 5 gave us problems. Well, okay, so we had some problems. That shouldn't be true of everything, so let's see if we have anything we can bring in. So here's the building itself. Let's place that in the way. Okay, there's that building. Wow. Oh, that's the back part of the building, so it's understandable. And there's all these other buildings. Why did they come? Who asked that? I brought in everything. All right, it brought in everything. Yay. So the ground is underneath stuff. And since it's all selected now, let's just move it up. There's our column. Yeah, it looks like our car is in there too. All right, so something's messed up over there. Right, so that's okay. Let's save it. Save all, and we'll try to play. Oh, but again, I have to turn off caches. Okay, so let's first select this building, and let's make sure that it has collision preset. Let's say no collision, and let's do that for. In fact, we have to do that for all the buildings. So let's go to building 5, which had problems, all the way to building 24. That's all the buildings, I think, in here. And let's see if we can turn off meshes, collisions for everything. So where's collision? Here. There's collision presets. Multiple values. We're saying no collision for all of them. For this one here, we're going to tell it that there should be no collision for now. And when we zoom in on the car, and we find the car, which is the chassis, and the calm door back, door side. Looks like we have, yeah, a lot of different stuff in here. So there's this all the way through to bumper back, bumper bulb. Wow, all in there. So let's just turn off. Huh, I don't know. We'll see what happens. And there's our character, our person there. Does the person have any collisions? Collision. First added question. No collision. We can try it. So that's the building. Not too bad. Save all. It might be that the car messes us up to find out, but we're going to launch a session of Fortnite. You can see how long it took. Failed to validate local source content. Local source content. This one here, building 5. Alright, building 5 has got to go, as does building Corinthia. Whatever that is. So we have 2 issues that are not validating. So let's go to search for building 5. There it is. And let's delete it. Alright, and then that shouldn't be in there anymore because it's deleted. And let's go for something called Corinthia. It's this thing here. And let's focus on it. What is that Corinthia? Looks like my whole building, but I didn't think that that was the name. So whatever this is has to go. It'll let me. There's never anything to get rid of it like that, but we have to go delete. Alright, I don't know what that was, but we're going to try it again. Save all. Take it sweet home. Hopefully this time it's going to matchmake. This is matchmaking to edit session. Please, please, please work. Validating. This is about the validation. If the validation works, we're okay. Good. They're good predators. So let's hope 33% validated.
We're good predators for what?
And it did it. All projects are up to date, and it is launching Fortnite. Here we go.
Daddy, there's.
All right, now it gets to this part where it says connecting. Yeah, they want to eat you.
Why?
Fortnite is loading. Fortnite is logging in. Fortnite loads plugins, and it loads into your edit session. Let's see how long that takes. And it says connecting.
Did you write the items?
No, that's a whole other thing. Don't touch.
He is supposed to collect the
Not yet. It's preparing the shaders. Alright. Preparing shaders. Preparing shaders. Preparing shaders. A lot of shaders. And here's our world. Well, let's see if this works.
Okay, it's closed.
Ah, how cool. We're looking down.
There's a mosquito on your head.
But
Pinch you. Pinch that here.
there's our buildings.
Daddy.
Yeah. Alright, so I don't know if this is going to work or not. Seems like it's missing some things.
Daddy.
Yes.
I think I saw a fly, and I think I saw.
Jump off.
There's a fly here. There's a fly here already.
Yeah, look at that.
Hey, Daddy, I want to go back up.
Yeah, we're on the ground. Look.
I wanted to go.
Wait, I'll show. We'll go back up. Let me see if the car's the right size.
Oh no, we don't have
Oh,
enough
that's a tiny
energy.
car.
We don't have enough energy.
And our character is too small and he's under the house. But he can walk under the columns. So I cannot account for why the car
But look at
is
but
so
we
small.
have 0 shield power.
doors
Where's
are...
the shield potions, Daddy?
There are no shield potions here.
And what does that say? What does that say?
That's just how much energy we have to run. Well, at least we know that the columns are working.
This is how much energy we have.
Yes. Now, if I go back to here and I notice, for example, that the entire building is too high, then if I bring it down onto the ground and try to zoom, I have to really zoom in on it, or I right-click and use the keys there and use the Q key to go, use the R key to come up. Right, so this is not horrible because the column is just touching the ground there. But the car is like way too small, and then the figure of the person.
And did you add the furniture to the house yet?
No, and see this guy here, he's like way too small. So why is that? And I want to be able to move this guy. So if I move him in the location, that's in the y-axis. I move him out. Okay. Like he's way too small. And that doesn't make sense to me because Blender size should fit Unreal size. But at least I moved the building down and I can say save current level. Now when I push the changes, in a second. We're pushing the changes and we're ready to jump again. Do you want to jump? Oh my God. But it may not. Yeah, so now the columns are better, but this character is still a giant. Why is Fortnite person a giant? That is our big question. But okay. The last thing I want to try when I push changes, this thing was obviously sunk a bit too deep in the ground, for one thing. And this guy's feet are in the ground too much. But I think what's bothering me, I need to get collisions on this building. So if I pick this building and I tell it, let me find it here, pick up these. My building is, not yet. Alright, so I'm going to come in a few minutes. I want to fix this. Alright, so the mesh needs to be applied. So there's a mesh. And I don't know if this is going to work or not. It faults. Precision can be lowered, I suppose. I mean, I'm not really sure how this works. And so if I close that and we go into collision, what if we tell it default and then save and then push those changes, then this building should have a collision on it. So that means that if we respawn, start the game again, we jump, if I fly into the building, then it's all nope, I came right inside it. Although, the character seems frozen now. Like totally frozen. Staging. The collision is really messing me up. So that collision thing didn't work. And why that is, I do not know. Failed to validate local source content. What's the problem? So there's a problem somewhere here. But collision default doesn't work. What about character mesh, block all physics on vehicle, spectator, fort, trigger, fort static mesh. Static meshes that can never move and never be interacted with. Used for static meshes that never move. Potentially interactive, which must also collide with physics. I don't know. Let's try that. And again, let's find that spawn point, which is player. So player spawn pad is way up here. Let's bring it much farther down. And in fact, let's bring it down to about 500. Let's see what that is. And it's showing up. What's on the ground? We don't necessarily need it that low. Layer 2, let's bring that down to 1,000. Let's see what that does. So if we pick layer 2 spawn pad, that's also on there. Alright, in fact, let's move it closer. Yeah! Okay. Yeah, in a second. Save all. Yellow yourself 1 second. Push the changes. Let's see what we get. Respawn. Huh. That's what we got. So that was cool. So does the collision work? No, collision does not work. Uh-oh. What did that mean? All projects are up to date. Session is updating. Go back into Fortnite and we respawn or start it. Now it's really messed up. Our building appears really ugly. But we get to the front of the building, that's the back of the building. It is not. Now it does collide. Okay, good. Can we walk it? No, because the collision is all over the place. Really running down the side of the building. Oh, and there's that character I put in. That's pretty cool. What is that character? Spawn point messed up. But we have a character. Now here, it's probably going to be the collision right at the wall. Oh no, cool. Look at that. Something went wrong. But it's working. And we end up on the roof. I don't know why she's stuck. Running. I didn't ask her to stay running. stop running. Stop running. She's just like running. Look at her head cut off. Alright, can you stop, lady? Yeah. Yeah. Huh. Okay, well, all she seems to want to do is run. And stop her. That is the most bizarre thing in the world. Like, why is this lady constantly running? She goes. Now she's fine. Okay, that must have been some bug. Now she's fine. Huh? Okay, well, we're getting there. We are getting there. Yep, we're getting there. So, we got that, and we'll figure stuff out from here. Alright, thank you very much. That was fun. There we go. Return to lobby. And control this. And say goodbye to Unreal. Alright, bye.